The spiritual self. In order to understand and evaluate one's spiritual self, we must first consider the constitution or characterization of one's faith, belief, and practice. Faith, a system of religious belief. It could be a religion, such as Christianity or Buddhism. Belief sets the foundation for one's actions. Belief is not something that can be easily known unless one declares it so, or is manifested through actions such as praying and religious rituals. It could be believing in a supreme being, a god, to worshipping inanimate objects. It is not to be confused with facts. Facts are things that is known or proven to be true and is usually backed with evidence. But a belief does not necessarily need to have evidence. Religious practice is the manifestation of a person's beliefs. Unlike the belief, in which we have unregulated freedom, religious practice is regulated, as this will affect the society as well as the right of the people. For example, Christianity and Islam. According to their respective religious texts, homosexual acts are forbidden and is punishable with death penalty. Where this practice is not regulated, it will violate the rights of the people. The belief and practice may or may not be consistent. If the belief and the practice is in collision or clash with one another, one should either abandon the beliefs or change one's actions to conform with the beliefs. One's identity of spiritual self is deeply tied to the center of their religion and worship. For Christianity, man was created in the image of God. For Buddhism and Hinduism, man's goal is to reach nirvana. For Islam, surrender and submit to Allah and His laws. This means that a person's everyday actions, as well as the formation of the self, is heavily influenced by their faith. One of the most important decisions in life, such as marriage, is also at the hands of faith. Depending on the person, how deeply the person is committed to his religion, he might decide only to marry people with the same faith. These decisions, no matter how trivial it might seem, at the hands of faith can bring about great change. This change could be beneficial or disastrous. One example of great change brought upon by faith is death, like the case of people's temple members, in which they are ordered by their leader to drink poison and commit mass suicide. As was mentioned before, the freedom to believe in what you believe in is absolute, but the practice of it is regulated as it can affect the society and the people. Wine is normally considered profane, but becomes sacred when used for Holy Communion, as well as incense, which is just for decoration, becomes sacred when used for offering to the gods. For the Jehovah's Witness, any idolatrous act is forbidden. It is against what their religion is preaching. There was a case in Cebu where students refused to salute the flag, sing the national anthem, as well as patriotic pledge, as it is against their religion. These students are then immediately expelled. An appeal was ensued, and the court decided to give exemption as much as possible unless compelling state interest intervenes. Now we move on to the concept of dungan. The idea of soul has been around for ages. The soul, according to Plato and Socrates, will survive the death of the physical body, and it is the real self. But for St. Thomas Aquinas, the soul will enjoy eternal life in the general resurrection. The soul is also often in the center of religions, like with the Christianity and Islam. Though having little difference with the soul, Atman in Hinduism is also considered as the universal or eternal self. The Jiva Atman is the one imprisoned in the body, and after death will be given a new existence as assessed by the judgment of karma, and will cycle through death and rebirth until the soul has attained karmic perfection. In Buddhism, the concept of soul and Atman is but an illusion. Dungan is the spirit that dwells inside the babaylan, or a living person. The dungan is similar to the soul as it gives life and animation to the person and has its own will and knowledge. It can leave the body at will during sleep, since it is dangerous to live while the person is awake. From here, we can see that the indigenous idea of soul is different from the Western counterpart. Rituals and ceremonies. When people hear the word ritual or ceremony, what goes on in their mind is about religious rituals and ceremonies. Rituals and ceremonies are not restricted to religion. Ritual is a series of actions or type of behavior regularly and invariably followed, like waking up in a particular time, eating a particular breakfast every day, sitting on the same chair even without seating arrangement, going to sleep early, etc. If it involves religious symbols, it is a religious ritual. According to a study done by SOCIS, the main benefit of religion is the promotion of cooperation as an effective social mechanism. Rituals are a form of communication which signifies commitment to other members of the group. These rituals, which are usually done publicly, is the manifestation of the beliefs of that religion. By doing these rituals, it gives assurance that one is doing their share of the work, and is the same thing as declaring that they identify as such. Many contemporary anthropologists include magic under religion. For Edward Tyler, magic is not part of religion as there is no spirit involved, while for James Fraser, magic is the initial step before it becomes a religion and then evolve into science. While for Emil Durkheim, religion rituals involve the community, whereas magic gravitates on the needs and wants of an individual only. This magic is different from our modern idea of magic that involves illusion or misdirection like using cards. Witchcraft is generally associated with immoral and antisocial behavior such as greed, vengeance, and envy. It is not to be confused with sorcery, which involves rituals and magic but are not needed in witchcraft. As long as one wills evil unto another, that is witchcraft. In religious contexts, witchcraft is associated with the devil and is seen as anti-God. Finding and creating meaning. Viktor Frankl is a psychiatrist who was imprisoned for 3 years in a concentration camp during World War II. He provides 3 ways of discovering the meaning of life. According to him, the main motivation why men continue to live is the will to meaning. A person must see meaning in his life, and this meaning is unique to every individual. According to logotherapy, the 3 different ways are by creating a work or doing a deed. We create meaning by finding value in things that we do. It can be a writer wanting to spread his feelings, ideas via books. By experiencing something or encountering someone. Experiencing positive things may lead one to find meaning in life, especially being loved. When you are loved, you have been accepted for who you are and can lead to more positive impacts in life. By the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. This emphasizes that whenever there is suffering, there is meaning, such as finding meaning of a sacrifice.